also wanted to make a quick correction to one of my statements, and I think a community post, because I've been seeing people leave corrections and like others comment. I didn't look at mine to see if anybody had left any in mine, but apparently that the thing that people are referencing as like the Chinese like reportage, that's actually like a Taiwanese news station, I'm pretty sure, unless I'm getting that wrong too. But I saw a lot of people correcting others that it's not Chinese, it's Taiwanese. You might have an idea come to you when you're feeling, I don't know if it's lazy or just when you're relaxing. So if you've had any kind of like creativity block or anything like that that's been stressing you out, probably the best thing that you can do is relax a little bit, and it'll come to you while you're doing something else. All right, what's under the deck? Well, we got conflict. Conflict that actually might like produce something. This could be inner conflict if we're just talking about creativity blocks today, but we could be talking about productive conflict if it's an external conflict. Though I don't know if that's involving y'all directly at the moment, the viewer anyway. Maybe for some of y'all, because I never know who exactly I'm talking to. Whatever this is, it might inspire you to movement. At the moment, I'm just going to talk about this like an idea or inspiration. Whatever it is, I would take it seriously. I would follow through with it, because potentially over time it would turn into a big deal for you. In somewhat, like I'll just say significant, because I just feel like we're always like, oh, it's like the thing that's gonna like make you viral or whatever, potentially, like, but remember that's relative. So if we're talking about a viral moment, if you're a channel that typically gets like views that are in the hundreds, it'll be the thing that takes you like into the thousands, and likewise, like we can step that up. So if you're used to getting like views in like the double thousands, right? Like 50,000, 20,000, but maybe you've never broken like the triple digits. It's something like that. It's something that'll finally break you through into like the next level of whatever. But it doesn't necessarily mean you're going from one like to a million. Like somebody could, but that's, you know, that's outlier stuff. So right now we're going to discuss this like some kind of creative idea. So we have the Four of Cups. So there's the idea coming in with that cup. And then the Chariot, it's sort of like when you get it, maybe take it seriously, even if you think it's something that's like unrelated, right? Because that's like, I know I bag on the New Age a lot. Doesn't mean that there are all bad ideas in the New Age, or like all channelers are bringing through crap information. It's not true. So Bashar, right? If you know who Daryl Anka, who purports to channel Bashar, is, that you act on your highest inspiration or the thing that you most want to do with no expectation of what that thing is going to be or do. Like you don't, and that's like, if we look at that, we can take that back to Aleister Crowley, who also wasn't talking crap about everything, even though he was a relatively despicable person. You should, when you're doing magic, you should have no lust for result. Same thing, we're just saying it in a slightly different way, pretty much. So act on it, act directly on it, and see how it develops, basically. It's probably going to be at least something, which we haven't talked about on the channel in a while, so it's nice to be able to hit the classics. What we're looking for within manifestation, within a manifestation practice, to me, is fulfillment. When you are able to be within a cycle of fulfillment in general, no matter what you're doing, the actual manifestation, the thing that you like think you want, isn't going to, like, you're going to be able to detach from that very easily, because you're already fulfilled. And fulfillment and wholeness is not the same as being happy all the time. Fulfillment and wholeness has way more to do with like acceptance and what we would talk about as actual like therapeutic healing, in the sense that you can come to big moments of healing in your life while understanding that it's an ongoing process. So you can do the bulk of your work from whatever you dealt with in childhood, let's say, as you're coming, that's like part of the process of becoming an actual adult. is dealing with that stuff, healing from that stuff, and managing the ramifications, the consequences that that stuff has on your current life. And so you will come, if you're someone who a lot happened to you in childhood, if you stick with it, right? No matter what healing modality that you're choosing, as long as it's actually an effective one, you're going to come to a point where you do get over, you are done dealing with the bulk of that stuff, and it's no longer going to affect you in the same way as it used to. And that doesn't mean that it's gone forever. Usually it comes back around again, like it'll go in a little cycle, right? But the next time that it hits you and you're dealing with those emotions again, it's a lot less. It's a lot less, and it's not going to like knock you out completely. It's just going to be something that maybe you're dealing with some sadness or like grief for like a day or so, maybe a week at the most. But and that is continuing, like when you get to that point, like that's going to be the point where you're not really having like deep therapy all the time. Or even you're probably not going to be with a therapist or some kind of counselor or whoever's helping you anymore. It's just something that you're going to be able to tend to completely on your own, and it's just going to be another part of life. And so once you're there with like your outstanding work, you can get into I'm saying it's a cycle that makes it sound so clinical, but it's just like there's nothing you really have to do. It's just the sense that because you don't have that big open wound anymore, you're not looking for something to fill it. You're not going to be using things like magic, manifestation, any sort of substance, shopping, lovers, whatever it is, to compensate for that wound. And so then you can start, like you're not leaking energy anymore to like get like, you know, and when I'm talking about energy, I'm talking about something non-quantifiable. Chi, okay, like prana and mana. You're not leaking energy anymore. And when you're not leaking energy anymore, you can come to a place where you're not, like you're just not depleted. And you're not trying to pull that energy from things that don't have that energy. Because material things, while they have energy for your physical body, and they do have some like chi and like prana, like everything does, but not enough for you to be in fulfillment. Like for that, you do need to be pulling, in my opinion, like if it's agnostic or whatever, it's like a source that's completely within yourself, or you are pulling on like the greater forces of the universe or God, or however you're thinking about that. That's where that fulfillment energy comes from. And when you have that, you don't need a thing. I mean, you don't need a title and you don't need a status because you're already whole. And so while you very well may manifest those things, it's essentially going to be meaningless to you for the most part. And so the reason why we want that fulfillment cycle within manifestation, that type of reward system, is because then it almost doesn't matter what you're manifesting, because your own fulfillment is going to be reflected back to you and amplified. That's all. So that's when you get stuff like, so for me, right, ultimately, my biggest creative thing, even though I'm on YouTube a whole lot, is writing. I write, but like the thing that I would be looking to create ultimately is a book or a finished product that I would then sell, right? And so I can get, and I have been wrapped up way more with like traditional publishing and like being released at like an actual store and like the New York Times bestseller list and all of that. And while that's not to diminish anybody else's goals, over time, that has all organically, not like, don't like, you can't like force this kind of stuff. It's organically become less and less meaningful to me. And the process of writing, and also just releasing a book or a piece of material to beta readers, or to like just releasing the book and seeing who purchases it, like just self-published wise, indie published wise, that's become way more important to me than the rest of the stuff. because I'm way more, for the most part, in that fulfillment space than I am otherwise. Not all the time though. Not all the time. Sometimes I still get caught up and I'm just like, oh, like I'm thinking that this is gonna be like, this is gonna fix my life, or this is gonna be the thing that makes me happy all the time. And that's just kind of how we trick ourselves. So at the moment, I'm just talking about this, and I'm gonna pull another round now that we've talked about the fulfillment cycle and manifestation. I'm gonna pull a second row to see if we can't get some details about what this is, if we're gonna stay on the inspiration topic, or if in fact it's talking about something else. And something else that I want to add about manifestation is it doesn't matter what vibe, like low vibes, high vibes, medium vibes, I don't care what vibes you are. It's not going to change your ability to manifest. The only thing that vibes affect manifestation wise is how you're manifesting, usually the technique, and also your taste in what you're manifesting. Your taste in the result will change. But if you are low vibe, you can manifest just as quickly, just as efficiently, just as big as someone who is like high vibe or whatever. So another big difference with low vibe manifestation as opposed to, and high vibe manifestation can go this way too, just FYI, because high vibes doesn't necessarily mean good. That's why I talk about fulfillment and not necessarily high vibe. Because if your vibes are too low or too high, the way that you're gonna manifest or live your life is kind of in a crash and burn cycle. You'll have like, for a period, like a lot of success, and then like you crash out. And that can happen low vibe, high vibe. So I would say don't be tricked. Don't be tricked by the vibes. Don't think that like, oh, all high vibes. Like, that's why I don't really like that phrase, good vibes only. Because it tends to be like a bypassing thing. And also, like being all positive is unhealthy. Like you've got to be able to look at things like critically. You've got I don't know, that's just like, that's very like an imbalance in either direction isn't really what I would be looking for. And so whenever I see that, like, oh, good vibes only, I'm just like, whoop, dysfunction, girl. Like somebody's in denial about the dysfunction, we gotta go. And it always manifests, by the way. And especially extremely dysfunctionally a lot of times with the people who are doing the all like love and light stuff as a bypass. You'll see heinous stuff go on in those communities. Oh no, we got the 9 of Swords. Why are we stressed out? Well, that could be if it is like you're stressed out by a creative block, or in fact, when this idea comes to you, it might stress you out to act on it. That might be the case. But you should with this Knight of Cups. You should act on it. See, examine that fear or that stress when it comes up. 7 of Cups, because whatever this is, it's going to multiply. It's going to multiply. It's going to turn into other things, or it's an idea that's going to evolve. So it's just sort of like when you start acting on it, that's why you don't want to like get too invested in a particular result from the idea, because likely it's going to change as you go. Let it change, let it evolve. Two of Cups came out, so this could be uniting with an idea. It could be an intimacy of ideas. It could be another person. Besides that 2 of Cups, I haven't really seen another person. You could receive inspiration if you're open to a non-corporeal source. It could be something like that. So you could be receiving information from a being. It does not have to be. We could just still be talking about inspiration in general. That doesn't always come from like beings and stuff. But potentially there's another person. So if I have questions, I'll look at it. Let's see. Yeah, this is going to drastically transform the way you work, or you're being asked to do that. You're being asked to drastically transform what you're doing day to day. or this idea is going to take you to that place. Like as you're following whatever this is, it's going to take you there, and potentially it's going to happen over time. Could happen all at once. And the Hermit, this is like a long-term thing. It's something you're going to be following for a while. So I would say when you get it, start acting on it, but don't expect, like unless I see something different with my questions, I wouldn't expect it to pop off like kind of right away. It might be a gradual thing. Though maybe not as, because the Chariot's here, it seems like it's going to be something steady. Like you'll see steady growth, but maybe not like, you know, all of a sudden, like just to maintain the YouTube thing, like all of a sudden you've got like 1 million followers. So I do have some questions about this. Okay, so let's look at this. I've got the glare on this. This 2 of Cups. But I really haven't seen another person on this one, which it's nice to kind of get a little break from that because I feel like we're always talking about other people. All right, this 2 of, what? The Lovers, like, I don't know, could be another person, but let me see what the other 2 are. Justice, I don't know, it could be inner stuff. Inner stuff, the Hanged Man, probably it's inner stuff. But it's like you're uniting with something. You're uniting with something significant because these are all major arcana, the Lovers, Justice, and the Hanged Man. And the Hanged Man is also giving like inspiration. But that could be uniting with the true self. The Hierophant is also like God or the forces. So we're just talking about heavy duty inspiration. We could be talking about like a life purpose. The Queen of Wands is like, that's striking me as the viewer. And that is something that like, that it's something that you would be passionate about. When I'm saying the viewer, I just mean it's you. It's not something outside of you. Oh, King of Wands. That still could be the same person, and I'm getting a yes on it. It's just talking about something that you're going to want to take action on, that you're passionate about. Though, I mean, long term, it could inspire other people depending on what it is. Yeah, but 7 of Swords, now I don't know. It's just talking about you and sort of, you're not like, whenever you're getting something like this, you're never supposed to talk about it too soon. I have the 7 of Swords and the 2 of Wands here. So it's like initially, as you're making your initial steps, this is going to be between you and yourself, you and your higher self, you and God. Okay? Your patrons, whatever. This isn't about another person. This is about you. And so I want to see, is that it? Is that all the questions that I had? I thought I pulled the Hermit out. Maybe I didn't. No, I didn't, but I wanted to. Okay, so now we're going to look at like sort of how this is transforming like your day-to-day life or your work, and maybe sort of how that's going to look in general, timing wise. But then timing, depending, when we're talking about just you, and if the project doesn't really involve too many other people, the timing is really up to you. And I think that things like YouTube are a good example of that. The more consistent that you are with producing something that that people also want to watch, right? And that doesn't have to be like high production value or anything like that, but you've got to be doing something, and there are a few different ways to go about that on social media that would inspire someone to tune into you, whether that's just your personality, whether it's something you're saying, whether it's a combination of all of that plus production value. But like, if you are starting a channel or something like that, your output and your commitment is the thing that is going to grow you. And so you are somewhat in control of the timing of that, because obviously if you're not putting any energy into the thing, then the energy can't be fed back to you. Oh no, 3 of Swords. 5 of Cups. Oh no, what's happening? Wheel of Fortune. I don't know if we're like not liking this change. What's happening? Why are people sad? Oh no. It's like, I don't know, this is kind of the nature of big changes, but it's like you're gonna have to leave something. And you might have to fight for it to leave. You might have to fight for your idea. Or people might not, like, if you have to leave spaces that you've been in for a long time, like, people might not be about that. Yeah, you might have a naysayer here, but it's sort of like you're gonna have to listen to your own self on that. And a critic is not a naysayer. A critic is somebody who is actually still with you on the idea. They just want you to like do the best thing possible. And so they're pointing things out to you that you might not have considered so that you succeed. A naysayer is someone who's trying to tell you that the whole thing is a bad idea and that you should just forget about it. Yet, like, here's that conflict. Like, there's something that you're gonna have to like leave. It might be one person, might be multiple people, but it might be a struggle to leave it. Because even if it isn't for the best, you know, sometimes like that's family or like long-term friends or things like that. Yeah, like you're just, this is more looking like you have to center yourself and make the best choices for you. And it's sort of like, you're not gonna like be able to tell the difference between a critic and a hater, or someone who is trying to sabotage you. And also, if we're talking about big work changes, big lifestyle changes, the way that you bring in finance, money might be tight, right? Like you're gonna have to like work that out. You're gonna have to not make as much expenditures. 8 of Swords with the Page of Wands, not go out as much, not like do as many frivolous things. So like, it's just kind of, that seems very regular. If that is happening for you, that all seems like conflicts that would naturally arise out of a big life change, especially if it's something like a creative idea or like you're becoming an entrepreneur for the first time in your life. So let me go ahead and look at this Hermit, because that seemed like long term. And I mean, whenever we're talking about something like this, yeah, you're gonna have to like have perseverance, discipline, resiliency, and flexibility. Like, rarely does everything completely work out like perfectly. All right, this Hermit, 4 of Wands. See, long term, like you're gonna have in the initial stages, right? Especially because probably there's gonna be a stage where you can do whatever it is you're doing and you're not gonna like have a big upheaval. But then once you're getting to that point where it's like, oh, I could like do this like full time, or I could leave my job, or I could have like a whole other set of things, like that's when you're gonna start hitting like that major turbulence, most likely. I mean, whatever this is, it's something that's gonna bring in, if you stick with it, likely long-term stability. Yeah, King of Pentacles, 4 of Wands, 7 of Pentacles, King of Pentacles. If you have what I'm talking about, right, you have the inspiration, you're able to act on it, you have the discipline, resiliency, and flexibility to keep going with it, and also whatever money or whatever that you're receiving from that, you're investing well, and you're not doing the frivolous things, and you are saving, you will find yourself in this King of Pentacles position long term with the Hermit. That's a long-term thing. So whatever this is, it's a good idea. So let's go ahead and get the final advice outcome. Final advice outcome. I would say see it through. Like there's definitely going to be something here where you enter like a struggle phase or something. And it looks like there's going to be two. It's initially when you get the idea, acting on it because there's something about it that's going to scare you. And then there's that little part, and then there's the part in like kind of the middle of this where you're going to be making a larger transition, and it's sort of like there's just like a lot going on with other people around you giving their opinions, and also finances and things like that. So we have Five of Pentacles, Temperance. That's like, yeah, like the Five of Pentacles isn't nothing, but it's also not comfortable. But you're gonna have to deal with that. Like, and all of us do, right? There's like pretty much no one who, like there's no one who's not dealing with a Five of Pentacles situation. Even when you're talking about like a super, super wealthy person, they have a version of the Five of Pentacles. It's just not your version, right? Unless you are very, very super wealthy, which good for you. But you're gonna have to deal with this sort of discomfort. You're gonna have to be able to work through it. But ultimately, it's sort of like if you're keeping a level head and not freaking out about it, remaining calm and keeping your eye like on the ultimate vision, because the Queen of Cups has that original cup that was presented in her hand. If you keep the original vision, then things will probably work out, but like I said, long term. Yeah, like it's what I pulled the clarifier, the Tower, the Nine of Wands, the Six of Pentacles. If you persevere, don't get scared by the Tower. It's just talking about hardship and unexpected things happening, and like that's what the resiliency and flexibility is about. If you persevere through unexpected, perhaps hardship, you're gonna come out at this like Six of Coins, okay? And so that's a very everyday sort of read, which is kind of nice considering all the wildness that we've been dealing with.